And good evening, everyone. I think we're just about ready. And I want to thank Richard Moon for providing the beautiful shakuhachi music tonight.
Welcome back, Lauren.
And I think Sensei's just about ready. And so here we go. Good evening, Sensei.
Hey, good evening. Okay. This could be an important class. I'm glad you're all showing up. So we're looking at what was the write-up? Positive approach to dark. I was also looking at navigating the dark, be comfortable with the dark. So in that area, we've brought up dark before. So any clarification on the early part, but I would like to do make sure tonight we cover the advanced forms of dark. Okay. Oh, where should we start? Where should we start? Okay, this old sketch is still viable here. Think about the dark. Not really. Okay. Feel the dark. Okay, a little bit. Easy, finer feeling. Good. A little more sensing the dark, and then finer sensing. Okay, so that pattern, can't just think about the dark. Let me think about dark. Okay. Feeling, finer feeling, sensing the dark. Okay, so that practice still holds true. Okay, where the hell am I going to start? There are three major darks that you will bump into. The first major dark is when you physically die. Okay. And at first you'll probably still be attached to your body, self, and your family and stuff, and to adjust to not existing as a physical person anymore. But someplace there, the dark should happen. Now, if you don't understand what the dark is, if you had no practice with it, it's possible you could negatively react to it. Ooh, dark. At which time you're not taking advantage of it. We'll get into how to take advantage of it. You're not taking advantage of it. So the way I image it is, zoom, you're standing in line again to come back here, not having really developed. Okay. So I always thought about it as coming back as the same level character you were before. But I've heard since I've been playing with this that not only could that happen where you don't come back having developed, but you can even come back dumber, whatever word you want to use there, lesser. So this coming back too fast is a shame. Okay, and it's a shame that one would come back with lesser than their earlier self, and lesser because they didn't take advantage of how it works. Okay, Tija's not on yet. He's working some Stanford stuff.
He's here, actually.
Huh?
I'm here.
He's here, Sensei.
Oh, he's
I'll just
here.
stay on, yeah.
I think there was something you said right there. You said in your vernacular,
Yes,
something that sounds like karma or something.
yeah. I said there are likely causes and conditions or certain conditions that might bring you back into a lesser state, or I mean that's kind of the lore, a little bit of the lore of reincarnation and so on. But yeah, it's generally we're in a flow, hopefully, of development and an increase. Yeah, so it's yeah, that's karma. Karma is just a word for cause and effect.
Yeah. Okay.
Not a belief.
So you come back dumber. You're carrying more karma, could I say, with you?
Well, kind of. I mean, you're carrying the effect of your actions, the effect of cause and the effect of actions.
Anyway, so
yeah.
I thought you didn't develop, and then I heard tell that you can even come back a little bit dumber. So whatever you're going to do with that. Anyway, okay. So that's that. Okay. I want to get into the positive as soon as possible, but what's coming to me right now is the negatives of it. If you move into dark, in fact, change diagrams, not that one either. Come on, page. Where is he? Where'd he go? Where'd he go? He was here. Where'd he go? There he is. You can tell this is a Nadeau drawing, not a Kacha drawing. Let's see. Let me draw. If you try to approach, we're putting the dark time here. Okay. If your approach to it, where should I put this, is too narrow. Okay, too narrow. Or we could say if a Bobby tries to approach, even a Robert maybe, but anyway, definitely a Bobby. If you're too narrow, the dark you run into could be very thick, okay? In some form, thick, and I'll span that word out. Heavier, ickier, okay? And right there is where at first you might run into, quote, the monsters. That's why I brought up the snake pit when I first, one of my earlier sittings with Under. There's snakes all around biting me. Yeah. Okay. Going at it a little narrow. Yeah, things like that could show that way. Noah, what's her name? The wild animals. Saint Teresa.
Yeah.
Saint Teresa, someplace in her sittings, ran into wild animals biting at her. What the hell is this? Okay, kind of thing. So anyway, one trick are your basics. If you're going to settle with dark under, or just, yeah, and try to get fuller and better with it, your basics, easy, settle, open, shifting from idea to feeling to a sensing, finer sensing, more room. So all your basics, settle, open, more room, shifting from thinking to sensing, okay? So that when you hit this darker, you're not narrow and you're not picking up at the first icky effects. You're picking it up, could we say, at a better dimension level of the dark. Okay, so go at it small, you hit the heavy. be more open, be a finer settling, and you hit the finer of it. Okay, and tonight we'll highlight that and play with that a bit. Where the hell am I? A lot of in the doctor's book, Eben Alexander, he talks about a couple of stages of his in his crossing over, temporary death. What do they call that again?
Near-death experience.
NDE. Okay, in his NDE, he hit some dark, and it was kind of icky. He wanted out of there. Okay, creepy crawlies. Yeah, it smelled like shit. Okay, this is the heavier of it. This is way before the shit will show as nutrients, fertilizer, and nutrients, and all that nice stuff. Okay, so he hits that level of it, and he wants out. And in saying, "I want out of here," something happened. He moved into a little better light world. Okay, so a certain amount of dark, the potential of a little better light world. After a bit, he went back, but after having experienced a little better, the light world there, when he went back, he was hitting the dark at a bit level. And it wasn't quite as icky. There were some nice things about it. Okay. Not putting him down because he's doing good work. And I don't know what he's done since he wrote the book. But it's even more than he was saying in the book. It's still, I shouldn't say anything because he's still around. A bit of a negative taint, like, oh, this is something that's there, therefore I've got to hang out with it. And again, it's nicer than that. As we do it properly, the niceness of it and the more true nature of what it is can show. Okay. So anyway, I like Doctor's book in that he went from icky to, hey, this isn't too bad, kind of thing. All right. So there's your basic right there. Okay. Bob, you had a story here. Somebody was that an NDE? Yeah, it was an NDE, wasn't it? What's your story?
Yes, yeah, I had a friend who's really interested in NDEs, and he referred me to a person. He had no prior even acknowledgement that spirituality had any place in the world. He was kind of
a heavy-duty human.
Right, dedicated materialist, so to speak.
Yes.
Anyway, he had this NDE, and he found himself in this very dark place. And he had no frame of reference for how to work with it, except he remembered when he was a small child, his parents had taken him to Sunday school. So even though the guy was a highly educated college professor at the time, the only thing he could think of was some of the lessons that he had learned as a young child in Sunday school. So he began to try and invoke those lessons to get him out of this dark place as soon as possible. Long story short, he ended up becoming a highly dogmatically oriented fundamentalist, in which there was only one way in which you could survive these kind of icky experiences. And that is what his life work was to move people in that direction. So he found a way out, but it was in a very, very narrow band.
Yeah.
And one which, in my opinion, not only didn't serve him, but since he has somewhat of a following, isn't serving the people that listen to him either.
Yeah. So some experience in the dark, doesn't like it, gets out of it, moves into some brighter light world, we would surmise. And then when he wakes up from his NDE, he's retaining some degree of the light world thing. He becomes more spiritual, or we say a bit of a leader, but still has that negative feeling about the dark. That's too bad, but that's a partial, okay? So I don't know. Let's hope some of these stories are ringing a bell for you. If not, soon they will. Okay, what shall we do? I think instead of doing too much with the icky, what if we play with it's nice, okay? The dark underworld, blah, 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 is nice, okay? Easy. Oh, that's a nice idea. Settle, open, a little more room, easy the eye, self, sensing self is a sensing unit, could I say? And taking the approach that this dark immersion, okay, we'll just do a fairly quick dunk. Okay, ready? Dark immersion, right in the dark, down, easy, no thinking. We don't need feeling, we're shifting to sensing, okay. And my first touch on it was just some dark, just dark covering. Let's do a little bit better, easy, settle, sensing it finer. You're sensing the dark at its finer level, its finer dimension, its finer, truer of the dark. Mine, for example, is I'm starting to feel calmness here. It's funny, I've got a little piece of me that feels like it wants to get its head up out of the water. I'm using that metaphorically. So I can breathe again. So there's a little piece of me that sort of wants to come up to the surface, even though a larger piece here was calmness. Okay. Let's make another pass. Easy, easy. A sense that it's finer. Let's imagine it's finer. Easy. Sense it's finer. The down, dark. The movement of down, dark. Easy. What is potentially enjoyable? Playing the game. What's your sense of why you like it? Easy.
For me, the calm is very nurturing. The dark, calm, nurturing roll together for me.
Okay. I forgot what mine was here. Let me hit it again. A lot of worries that I may have had, and I don't recall what they may have been or anything like that, but don't seem to exist here. There is a probably following the calmness. There's nothing to do, nothing to worry about. This is really kind of neat. One more time and be ready to kick back some feedback here. Easy. One more time. Down. Playing the game. Hey, this down. Dark trip. Easy. Sense, feel. What's that doing for you? What's your experience? What's your experience? Dark. For me, a feeling that, I don't know, soon I'll be able to start fresh, or I'm ready to start fresh. That's mine. Okay, we did a few there. what's nice about it for y'all?
There's comfort. Feel very comfortable, and also there's recognition. Well, I recognize where I am, and the dark recognizes me.
Yeah. Okay. For those people that think they're fading away into nothingness, something like that, you're still there somehow or t'other, and you're recognized as somebody there. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's better. And oh my God, I'm going to fade away into nothingness. No, I got to get out of here. Somebody.
Yeah, for me, it was at first peaceful, and then they seemed like there was a support in there. They're supportive in some way.
Okay. Let me hang with that one for a second. Okay, peaceful, yes. And someplace in there, support. For me, in researching, doing what I do, I would, once I experienced the support, I would hit it again with the sense of what kind of support or what does that mean, and let it show again at even a little better level. Okay, just a trick of the trade. Give me a murmur, Amy, for God's sake. Okay.
It was, the supportive was, it was okay to let go, and that there was some sense of something had me, something, it was safe. In some way it was safe. I could let go.
Okay.
That was my experience.
Samuel's, I think, here likes the dark, and he's played with the dark. And I believe he said it was kind of like a, what do you call it, when you're the fetus in the womb. It was like being in a womb. You can let go because you're going to be taken care of. You're in a womb. And I thought that yeah, I could buy that. I could see where one would get that experience there. Yeah. You're safe. You're being cared for. Yes, it's okay here. Yeah. Somebody.
For me, Dusty, it felt like I was going down like a tube.
Like a chute?
Like a tube. Like
Okay.
a tube. But then, like taking it, when you were talking, I was like, oh, wait, I can put my hands out there. And what I liked is that I can, like, it's almost like there was paint along the sides of the tube. I could like slow myself down a little bit.
Yeah.
And it felt good, whatever's along my hands.
Yeah. Remember, Dusty, that's your pattern. We've been over you again and again on this. You tend to go in small, and the energy pushes you back up out. So doing the same thing, but you're getting better now. You're getting better. You went down the tube, but you realized you had room. There was room. It was bigger. Yeah, you weren't locked into this tube. So we're moving along here. Now, you could have, if you had listened to what I said about before we hit the dark, we settle and we open, and there is more space so that you can possibly hit it in its fuller and fuller of it. So you can save some of the tube time by doing a little better job right before you start. Settle, open, there's more room, easy the eye, a sensing, easy, a sensing, more room, easy, sensing finer, and someplace there. Now let's go for it. Okay, coming along. No, thank you. Okay, we're somebody. You okay?
Hi, Sensei.
Hey.
Hi, Sensei. It's Nikki from New Zealand.
Hey.
I got a sense of really warm, thick gloopy mud as I was going through it. But it was really interesting because when I came out through the other end of it, it was like I'd been cleansed. So I felt like I'd shed my old skin going through this. It was like a health mask, you know, when you put on a facial mask and you're supposed to like bring out the clean and healthy skin. That's kind of what it felt like going through this warm, dark mud.
Okay. Now, warm, dark mud. Okay. Still a little heavy. And as you make a better, more open approach to it, even finer level. So, okay so far. But as you get better at this, you won't pick up mud. It'll be finer dark. Okay. And bigger, finer, and the ability of staying in there longer. Yes, from that, you will move into, I call the next light world, or the next level of light world. And you did it, but a little, okay, no problem. But in a certain way, for the bigness of it, a little fast.
Okay.
A little fast. Okay. So no problem. That's okay. That's okay. But to do much more advanced work, a bigger, longer time in the dark. Okay, longer. So yeah, in the finer, I don't know what to call it, finer levels, finer dimensions, the finer of the dark. You have to imagine it's so, because it is, but to get to that level, imagine, could I say? Okay. But that was good, a little bit of dark, and then because of that bit of dark, the next person is cleaner, raring to go. A little bit like what I said, where I felt like, I forgot what I said, but something similar to what you said. Yeah, feeling this. Soon I'm going to be there for it, ready to go kind of thing. Okay, so no problem. Just, we want to get a bigger of it.
Yeah.
As soon as we can. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, hope I said that right. Another one, somebody? Okay. One of the first majors of a big dark when you die, okay? The better, fuller you can be there, it's, make up a word, transportation to the next, to a much finer level. If you just touch the dark and then bounce back out of it, you'll either be the same or even a little There should be, by using the dark, a better level available to you. The better, fuller, deeper, easier, calmer, ride the ride. Susan and I were tracking one of her patients who had died, and she liked, so we did check him out. And he was doing a dark, like, it felt to me like a parachute. He was just enjoying this nice, easy, parachutey flavor. Easy. It was just a happening. And just big and deep and easy. And if I recall, he got to a pretty good level, a pretty nice light world. It was an advanced light world. Very nice, very nice. So that sense. Anyway, where are we? Okay, so in a death trip, and we're all going to get there eventually. Not you, Autumn. You got a ways to go yet. But the rest of us, a lot of gray hair out there, or no hair. As I check my camera there. The better you handle are present in the dark, not panicking, easy, you'll get to a much better level of self. Okay. Quick repeat on Henry Kono. Because in Henry Kono's way, he was okay with the grounding dark. And so when he got to an astral plane, a finer dimensional level, he was a little more advanced there. So he immediately was recognized as such and immediately had a group. And he's the mentor of them. Okay. And one reason he was able to get to a nicer level was he was okay with deep. So however he approached that. But again, he was an Aikido guy in Japan with me. And so the roots, the deeper of things to get to a better level. Okay. So that's your first, one of the first main ones. God. Do I want to stop here for a bit or move on? Let's stop here for a moment at that level. The first main one is the dark after death. Okay. And you ride it. Better you ride it, the better, finer dimension you can be in. Okay. So take advantage of it. Utilize it so that you can more quickly, faster, continue your development. We're always, the trip is returning back to our more original self. So this is part of the journey. Anything to be said right there before I mention a couple other big dark moves?
Well, Sensei, this is Lauren. What you've just said now about connecting the return to our original self as a transition through the dark to our original self. I always had the idea the original self is somehow bright and glowing.
Well, yeah, the dark is just a vehicle. And then there's light. You see, what did New Zealand do? She went through some muddy, warm, dark, and then she's light again and clean. Hey, you got it?
Yes, sir.
You're not going to stay in dark forever. There's a little transition thing. Okay? When you go to sleep, you don't go to sleep forever. You wake up in 8 hours and you're ready for the day. You take a nap for a half an hour. Hey, you wake up more revived. That's why we brought up all those old examples, dumb examples, but for people, they're good examples. Look at, don't you stop and catch your breath sometime? That's it. That's an example. We're giving them kindergarten levels that are important. Okay. All right. Oh, I'm at the bottom of a flight of stairs, but I'm a walker. I'm not a stair climber. Oh, give me a moment. Oh, yes, stair climber. Here I am now. That pause at the bottom of the stairs, that momentary pause. So that the next mix or through that pause, which is a short form of dark, through that pause, hey, I'm a stair climber. Bing, 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 bing. So you don't get immersed in the dark forever and ever and ever. It doesn't work that way. All right. And if you think so, you're not going to go into the dark when you die. You're going to say, shit, no, I want to continue to exist. And you've just screwed it up. You're going to come back as a Lauren again. Or less than Lauren. Because I got the word that it even goes a little tighter in many cases. Okay. I always thought they just came back at their normal IQ level. I'm sorry to use that phrase, but apparently they can even come back a little stupider. Anyway. So this is why it's important. to have a sense of this before we die. We're all going to die. You older people, not you young people, you older people, I'm going to die. Okay, take advantage of this. Don't be afraid of it. Okay. Oh, okay. So I need stories from Teaser, maybe Noah. Let's see. Practicing dying. Teaser, you had one. Teaser.
I am here.
The famous
Guy, yes.
famous guy.
The Dalai Lama.
Thank you. That guy.
I've
I've
had the good occasion to sit with him from time to time over the years, and he's also written a book on it's called Advice on Death and Dying, and he also has a practice that he says that he does every day, and that practice is kind of settling into the reality that we're all going to pass away at some point, so that there's no real fear, by coming to the threshold of that darkness, you lose the fear of what's often there for human beings, for all of us in a certain way, until we practice with it a little bit, practice and understand that death, that sense of darkness is just a membrane, it's a boundary. It's not an ultimate end, or not an existential end. So he practices. He says, he talks about in his books and his various writings, he practices settling in. It's not like practicing dying per se, but it's practicing going into that.
You just took away my line.
Well,
raised in Tokyo, sit on my couch at night and practice dying. I mentally cut my wrist and bleed to death. And I take it slow to see what all the reactions were. Like, what about my wife? And wait a minute, I got dry cleaning at the dry cleaners I didn't think of. And whatever. Just to practice this. Yes. So I have to say practice dying, but practice
going to the threshold, going into the space of darkness.
Yes.
Yeah, and the seeming mystery of it. Not that you're going to solve that, but you get used to it, so that the qualities around the fear of dying begin to lessen, at least lessen. Okay. They're lessening, if not disappearing. Yeah.
There's nothing to solve here, by the way. Sorry, TJ. Nothing to solve.
Nothing to solve.
Veil itself. Right. I got to solve this here, Roy.
Yeah. Well, that's all thinking, and we know what happens with too much of that. So.
And no, wasn't there a Christian, somebody or other? I die daily.
St. Paul said that.
St. Paul, I die daily. Was he practicing this, realizing the importance of dark to bring you to a finer dimension, level of yourself? Okay.
In Paramhansa Yogananda's commentary on the New Testament, he says exactly that about the line that you just quoted.
Okay. All right. Where are we? Practicing. I remember, where was I? I was fresh from Japan. I was visiting my brother up in Antioch and on the highway, and there was a near miss accident, which would have been a total wipeout for everybody. I mean, we're all going fast. And my feeling then was, maybe it's my time to pass over. And I was kind of looking forward to it. But cars went, spun a few times. It was okay. But I remember that moment or moments before where I was like, this is interesting. So that there wasn't any fear of death. And I noticed that there was like, oh my God, what's going to happen here? Stuck with me for a bit. Anyway. Okay. So again, at this level, any questions? We're at the crossing over dark level, that the better presence in the dark, there will be some light showing. Okay. I think I should caution, because so many people know there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that some people in the dark tunnel will be looking for the light instead of enjoying the time, the letting go to the dark, letting the dark journey continue, because they'll have remembered light at the end of the tunnel, and they'll get out of the dark and hit another light dimension, but maybe not as anywhere near as advanced as they could have gotten to if they had rode the dark. Okay, went along for the dark journey experience. Did I say anything intelligent there? So any questions in the dark of the passing over time that I may be able to help you with? Nothing really.
There's one thing that you said and that you led with tonight that I think is very interesting. You can't really think your way into this. I mean, some thinking is maybe interesting, but even feeling. So when you talk about thinking, feeling, and sensing, the sensing part of this really allows greater access in the most incredible way. And yes, it is. It takes a little bit of time, some practice with sensing, so that you're comfortable with that, and not only comfortable, but that you feel. I think as Amy was saying earlier, you feel the safety in that space of the radiant darkness, as it were. Yeah.
Yeah, and Samuels likes the dark. I didn't use the word radiant, I forgot. Kind of, there's something sparkly there for him. I forget what word he used, but something like sparkly. It was more than just dark. It was a dark with that something, yeah. Anyway. So
I always like the terms like luminous darkness or radiant darkness. I think they're poetic for sure, but it's interesting nevertheless.
Yeah.
It kind of opens up the feeling that darkness is not just that closed container and you can't feel anything.
Or when finer dimensional sense. Otherwise, you're in the container, you're going to say, get me out of here.
When we were doing the practice earlier, I really related to what Amy was saying, and when she was saying that there's a sense of safety, but I was feeling like closer to source. This is closer to self, to source in this, in the darkness.
And that's a good sense to have, I think, in the dark journey.
It's sensing.
Let me write this even more, because it's getting closer to source, or at least more original of me. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, that's a nice flavor to have there. Yeah. So with practice, you can naturally have that flavor.
Yes. Yeah. In practice. That's right.
Okay. Did we lose that? I think that one, yeah. No, I'm just the other one. The overlay. Overlay. That one. You were hiding it. That's why I couldn't find it. You had it. Okay. Okay, big dark when you die. This is manifest here, okay? And in the manifest, we have our basics for developing or whatever. Bobby, easy, settle, Robert, easy, settle, Nadeau, okay? Or 1 by to a 2 by to a 3 by, a bad day to a fair day to a good day. You've got some type of practice that you do to be a little better person, whatever better means, calmer, nicer, stronger, whatever, better person. Okay. At a certain point, now that better to better to better goes on virtually forever here in this manifest. But you reach a certain point where because of your harmony experience, you're balanced, okay? Better dimensional level, whatever, Robert, better level, harmony, you're balanced. You got a Bobby to a Robert to a Nadeau, okay? So that's your pattern to develop. Now, at a certain level, let's say a 3 by to a 4 by, or a Nadeau, or Robert to Nadeau, possibly right there, right around there. There'll be the sense of self, okay? And possibly there, the dark could suddenly show, all right? And potentially confuse people, okay? Here's where the dark night of the soul comes in, okay? So imagine somebody on a spiritual quest and they're meditating and developing, whatever, and suddenly after a bit, after whatever, some years, we'll say, suddenly it's all dark. Dark night of the soul, and they're feeling this darkness, and they don't know what the hell it is. Okay? When there's enough balance at a good enough level, again, Bobby can't pull it off, but Nadeau to Nadeau Sensei, someplace around in there, okay? A 3 by to a 4 by, maybe around in there, okay? That may show dark night of the soul, okay? Let's see. Now you're used to developing, let's call that a linear development, Bobby, Robert, Nadeau, Sensei, okay? And this dark thing happens, yeah? If in not knowing that it's okay, that it's part of the game, you could freak out and get out of it and not doing your practices that got you there. Like, shit, I was meditating and suddenly it got all dark and weird. I'm not going to meditate anymore ever. So that would be unfortunate, but that happens, okay? The other thing is, at first you don't have a sense of how things work, okay? Because you've been using Bobby, Robert, Nadeau, whatever, as a reference. Suddenly this thing kind of blocks it out. Okay? So you lose all your normal references that got you to a good level. You've been coming along. You're special. Everybody will tell you you're special. And suddenly this thing is happening. What the hell is going wrong? Okay. Again, if you're okay with the dark, it will show potentially right then. And you take advantage of the dark. You ride it, and then it'll bring you to a better level. But you're starting to shift from the manifest style, to the domain. We call it in here domain, probably a better word right now. The domain, which is a good training ground. Okay. What I heard from OSensei was it's like a laboratory, a gymnasium, a library. You hang out there and you're much better level self-sensing. And you get a much better sense of the earlier part of creation, because in domain, you're in the finer, earlier part of creation. And you work out stuff there and go, oh, okay. And then another big dark can eventually hit there. And that'll shift you from the domain level to the heavenly, I call it divine level. So a big dark when you die, a big dark someplace when you're squared away in harmony, better balance, okay, could show. If you don't know it could show, that could be the dark night of the souls. Okay, so let's see. Noah, who was St. John of the Cross? What's that?
Yeah, St. John of the Cross. He actually coined the phrase "Dark Night of the Soul" and wrote a very famous book by that title.
1591 or something.
Yeah, he passed away in 1591. That's correct.
Pretty good for a Catholic kid in those days.
Well, he had the Inquisition breathing down his neck, which for those
They had their eye on him.
Yeah, they weren't trivial guys to deal with in those days.
Yeah. Well, again, anyone that's experiencing as opposed to just mouthing spiritual stuff, yes, those guys would get on your case. Yeah. Anyway, but beautiful piece of work he did. He added 2 more names here. So we got the first, this first dark night of the soul, and then next one, Bob, it was
Dark Night of the Spirit.
Okay. So now you catch that I would call self sometime, but self, spirit, same thing. You start to catch self, spirit, another one, okay? And then you had a third one there. Next one.
Well, no, there were different stages for each of them, so it broke down in a little different way. But those were the 2 dark nights that he talked about. What he also talked about was looking at it from the transition perspective of the person, and he called that moving from being a beginner to a proficient, was his word, and then to the person of union when you got to the brass ring.
He didn't say brass ring.
No, he didn't say brass. No, he called it divine union.
Divine union, yeah, okay.
He was what was called the doctor of the church, of which there's in 2,000 years of Catholicism, there's lots of saints. There's about 30 doctors of the church. And specifically, he was considered the gold standard for contemplative Christianity and is still today.
Yeah. So he was a hell of a good mapper, apparently, and experiencer. Well, to be a good mapper, you got to be an experiencer. Anyway, otherwise it's just mental awareness, but we'll get lost. Anyway, so dark and dark. Did I get lost? Did I lose you? Where the hell are we? Hello out there in the world?
Hi, Sensei, it's Mark here.
Mark.
Yeah, Mark here.
Oh, you said it right. Wow.
Must be another level. I'm finding this conversation quite fascinating because a while ago, we were doing self runs.
We're doing what?
And so we're doing runs on the self, experiencing the self.
So,
And in my own time, I had quite a, I only did this once, but I had quite an interesting experience because I was really trying to feel what self was like and sense it. And it started with a glow, and then I hung with that for quite a while, and then it felt like glass. And then all of a sudden I was in a really dark space, and I it was kind of what you said. I was thinking for a moment, I was like, I was really surprised. I was like, what?
yeah.
Well, what is this? But because of these lessons and the way that you've been presenting and stuff, I kind of knew just to hang there, and I hung there for a really long time. Well, what felt like a really long time, but I was kind of cool with it because I had this feeling that okay, there is something here, and then sure enough, it started with, it was just a little light, and rather than going to it, it sort of came to me, and then all of it sort of grew until it was me, and it was absolutely blinding. It was quite phenomenal. The story doesn't end well because I sort of got kicked out of there. But
you can stop right then.
But for a moment, I sort of got kicked back out, and then but it was the way that you told the story. It was exactly what I experienced there. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but that being caught by surprise, you're doing nice work, and suddenly this thing happens. All right. Trying to give everyone a heads up on doing nice work, and suddenly this strange thing happens. Easy. Remember your basics. Easy. Don't panic. Double check more room. Easy. It will unfold. Easy. It will unfold. It will clarify. Easy. Okay. Or you just guts it out and hang out at the level that you're at where it's showing. But you got to be kind of gutsy there because it kind of could be thick and icky, and the snakes are biting you. Easy. I'm meditating. What the hell get snakes biting me? Easy. I don't remember what words I used then, but kind of easy. You're meditating, so it'd be easy here. Let it unshow itself again, whatever words I was using in those days. And then the snakes showed they were energy movements. I had a good sense about energy. I said, oh, energy spirals. Continued, they were smiling energy spirals. Continued, and eventually it came from this very gorgeous feminine place. It's beautiful. Yeah. So I kind of gutsied my way through the biting snake and stuff. But I'm trying to give you all a heads up. Easy. Open. Let it unveil itself. Let it unfold. I got to figure this out. No, who's going to figure it out? Bobby? Dear God. Easy. Double check your settling, opening, allowing more space. Easy. Let it unfold. Let it clarify. Okay. Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.
But it's too bad people don't know about the dark, because sometimes they're doing good work and they run into it and they don't know what to make of it. So they run away, they make up stories how horrible it is, and don't hang with it in some form. Okay. So the truth of it, the beauty of it in its own right and what it really does can show. Okay. It's not an ordeal. It's not a trial by tribulation. Is that the right phrasing? Or would that be the right phrasing? It's not something horrible you got to go through. Okay. I went through some of the horribles because I was approaching it smaller, not knowing some of the tricks. So it hit me heavy, but I gutsied my way through and I hung out until it clarified. Oh, it's pretty cool. Okay. Now, what's her name, Bob? Saint whoever?
Saint Teresa.
Saint Teresa, whatever she was doing, sitting, meditating, praying, and suddenly there's wild animals biting at her. Oh, hurt snakes. Oh, yeah, okay. I know what happened, where she's at, because same thing. Okay? Easy. Double check your basics. Settle, open. There's more room here. Easy. Double check sensing. Sense this. Finer sensing. So the more truth reality of it can show through faster. Okay. What'd I miss? Somebody? Where the hell are we here?
Sensei, you said earlier that there were 3 dark that we will encounter. The first being death, the second being
The shift.
the shift, transition.
So not in order, but the next one will be transitioning from the manifest
to the hidden.
to the hidden domain. Yeah.
And the third?
At the domain to move into the from the domain to the divine. Okay.
Thank you.
And by that time, that the domain to the divine, you pretty well are really okay with it. And I had the feeling that you're almost invited, or if it's there, say, oh, yes, welcome, boom, boom. There's no hesitation or something by that level. You're kind of home free. Damn the words. Hard to talk about some of these levels because we're talking purple to green people. It's very hard, very hard. Well, since I said damn hard. No, we do the best we can, okay?
Sensei TJ here. We're just reflecting a little bit on what you're just saying and how important it is to sometimes hear these teachings, because I think that often folks will have experiences. They'll come to the boundaries or even get immersed into the darkness, and they'll be repelled away or frightened. Mm-hmm. And that's not necessarily unusual.
That's why we're doing this class.
Exactly.
But
sorry, yeah, that's right. So I think the term I was talking with you about was to normalize, to understand, even to begin with conceptually, that you might reach, these different places.
Yeah.
And understanding or hearing the teachings helps to normalize that experience.
I like that word, people. Normalize. Nice word, normalize. Takes something that to many people or before is icky or whatever. And to normalize, this is natural, this is how it works, this is what's going on. To normalize it. Okay?
They think they're the only ones, or we often, I've been in different experiences, and you hear the concepts of what you're supposedly supposed to experience in meditation, and what you often experience is way different. So a good guide, or hearing these kinds of teachings, helps to normalize that, so you realize you're not out of bounds in your experience, you're just in a different expression of it.
Yeah, no, we've got to be very free with people. See, we have certain rules or maps that I try to lay out. But within that, it's you. It's you.
That's right.
And so, I'll never be a musician, or not this life anyway. That's Tisha's thing. That's him. Okay. I'll never be a whoever. That's your job. But the guidelines should be good enough that everybody within their chosen being can find themselves. Okay. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't know how things, a lot of teachers don't know how things work, and they lock you into, no, you got to experience this. Instead of what are you experiencing now? Sometimes we do class things. Let's everybody experience brightness, okay? And so we can fun around as a group with something. But it doesn't mean that your first go around is going to be bright. It might be calm. It might be invigorating. It's yours. It's yours. Okay. So we try to lay out some basic maps, but exactly your experience is your experience. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Something. Yeah.
Sensei Bob here,
Yeah.
just to support what you and Tisha were just saying about normalizing it. The people I've worked with who were spiritual directors in monasteries, they call them novice masters, and their job is to take the new recruits, so to speak, and work with them. And they all say that it is absolute inevitable as people will get into the life of spirituality, in this case in the monastery or the convent, that this happens. It happens to everybody at some point in time, where they run up against the limits of who they are at that point. And one of the big benefits of the dark, if you accept it, is it helps you to let go of that so you can become more.
Yeah. It confuses people because it's quite a bit of a shift of styles. Okay. Because again, Bobby to Robert to Nadeau, I got that down pretty damn good. Okay, I'm looking forward to do next better one kind of thing. So that's a nice style. It got me to where it got me. Suddenly this thing happens. I'm not sure what's happening. Again, basics, easy. And as it unfolds, you realize, what's the words? It's a different level of experience. You did enough on the linear manifest. You did enough, good enough. And you get this urge, this calling, this something. Okay. So I don't know what to call it, another direction. Your basics will still hold true, but not the basics of your linear development form. But certain basics will still hold true. But anyway, there's a lot of confusion right there. So if you're let's say a meditator or somebody spiritually developing, and you run into a major confusion kind of thing, you might surmise that's happening. Okay. And in a certain way, you won't be able to figure it out with your thinking brain, definitely, or by what some people do there is they pass on it, so to speak, and they continue their development. Mr. Nadeau, Mr. Special Nadeau, and they continue that, not catching, hey, this was an important thing. If you recognize it as important, hang in there, a couple of little tricks, easy, don't panic, settle open, sense. Suddenly some breakthrough, a major breakthrough, not just another dimensional Bobby Robert Nadeau breakthrough. This is, I don't know, another worldly breakthrough. You're in that, whatever color that is. Again, I flunked kindergarten color, so whatever color that is, you're in that color. Okay. And you can be in that color and still be here. Okay. But with practice, you retain that color, that level of being better and better throughout the day, potentially. Okay. The way the forces work, you of course lose it, but you know how to get back to it faster, better. Really? Okay, where are we?
Sensei, Danny
Yeah.
here. Just like to, the first time I came across darkness in meditation was, I was a young man, I was about 23, and I'd left farming and I was living in town, child, married, and I was working in a very dark factory. It was like there was furnaces, it was noisy, and I was finding it very, very difficult. And I was a bit of a freak on meditation. I thought it was the best thing in the world, but I had this experience of darkness, and really, really comfortable there, I thought, because it felt great. It felt like a relief. It felt like I'm supported here, and I really liked this place. And I started to move and wander around, not really knowing what was going on. And and in the experience of the dark that I've had, I can never remember leaving the dark, but it was quite profound. I had no one to talk to really, and but I felt good about it. And I noted in my life, in working in the dark, in the furnaces and the heat and the noise, I felt much better. I actually stayed there for 18 months where I thought I couldn't stand another minute of it.
Yeah.
So,
well, it definitely
yeah,
moved
memory's
you to a
very
better
strong.
level of you. Yeah. See, when people are at work, working at a job, this is maybe an aside here, and they think I've had it. There's two possibilities. One is, yes, it's not your job, move on. Okay. The other is, oh, the job's okay, but the level you're doing the job is for shit. Bobby is running out. If Bobby, Robert, let Robert have a sense of that job and see if Robert wants to stay, because it's a better level. So we don't know at first when you want to leave your job, whether you're right that the job is bad and you got to get out, or you have to click one more level. Okay, so that was a little sideline on this, but anyway, thank you, Danny. A quick one to Gina. Gina, you like the dark. You said shit tonight, Gina. Somebody who likes the dark as much as you say you do should be saying something here.
Okay, here I am. The dark that I was used to was, I would, from days of old, and always would go there first and then move into a new level. It was a place to glass off and, be able to shift. But about 2 weeks ago, I hit this one, and it's different, man. There's no question. This is a whole nother thing. When I hit this one, it blew my mind, and I'm embarrassed to say, even all your teachings, I couldn't stay there. It was so dense. It wasn't thick, it was like dense, and I couldn't move. And I just thought, oh, I'll come back. And for the past 2 weeks, I've been working on getting back, and I kind of touch on it. And I did ask, what is your job? What are you doing? And it said to open you up, girls.
Yeah.
So, and today, interestingly enough, this morning, I thought, and I hit it, and I went, okay, I don't care if I'm sitting here all day. I'm going through this. And I didn't want to force it, because that's usually me. I want to let's get this going, hurry. But I just thought, no,
You got it too tight.
And I just settled as easy as I can. And boy, I blasted through into the most joyous, loving, smiling on my face place. It was something else. You're right.
So Yeah,
But it was
so
not my big dark of old. It wasn't that, which I haven't gone to in a long time. Since you started on this center circle thing, I haven't been back. I don't need that anymore.
I did a quick check on you. I'm
Good.
tell you a week or so ago. I had a sense that your early sense of dark was an idea of dark. I couldn't feel you having the sensing presence in the dark. So I think maybe that was the difference here.
Ah,
That this dark
This
was
is-
different because it was more of
this
a
is different.
sensing presence, dark. So yes, it wasn't just your idea of dark, whatever.
this is serious dark.
And again, remember the tricks that we mentioned before you start. See, you said it. I go at it. Well, you go at it, and you're
I want to catch up with all you guys.
you're doing the tube form, and so take those minutes to settle and open. Have a sense of finer dimensions available, and go through the dark with that sense of finer, easy. And it's even finer, easy, and sense experience. Sense experience. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Good.
Sure. I'm working on it.
Yeah. But again, a main point also is how the dark brought her to such a nice place.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was great.
So that's kind of what we're trying to lay out. Really take advantage of the dark, because its job is to bring it to a nicer dimension. And it can be a very fast form of moving through very fast form, the dark.
It was definitely a sense of this is what you need for what's next. You got to get to this opening level, bigger place. This is.
Yeah, if we're going to make a good transition into the domain, then yes. Yeah. So that's what's next for you. Yes. yes. Okay. I think people are running towards the end. Anything? We cover everything okay?
It's Mike from New Zealand, Sensei. I was just reflecting on, I had a tremendous fear of the dark as a kid. And
many of us. But go ahead.
Well, it would just be wonderful if there was some kind of, I don't know, books or something that could be obviously couched in the right way for kids that could introduce the idea of the dark not necessarily being a terrible thing. You know, because my God, and I don't know, you know, I have no idea where it comes from, but it was severe.
Sit down and see if you can write such a book.
Well,
get your idea.
Indeed.
See if there's a bigger message for you, a bigger something for you. Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to get me thinking, gee, how would you present this to kids? And I don't quite have the time. I'm running out of time here. So, and I don't.
No, I wasn't necessarily suggesting you. It did seem to me that I would have benefited a lot if there had been something available like that.
No, it'd be nice to have more advanced beings residing in the human condition. It'd be nice to have selves, finer levels of self, spirit self, whatever name you want to give to it, residing here and being the teachers and the mentors. Because a lot of those things that we don't handle properly, people are doing that. The Bobbies and Roberts, they're dangerous people. Self's much better level of being. So it'd be nice when more selves, or we can develop into better selves, so we can do this kind of work better. I don't know if I said that well, but we're running out of time. I'm running out of words.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, people. So anyway, practice. The Dalai Lama practices. Okay. Saint whoever practice. I practice. People practice.
Sensei?
Let's imagine. Yes.
As you are aware, I've been working on a project to teach resilience to kids. And I wanted to invite Mike or anyone else interested in the subject to contact me.
Okay. And for the locals, I'll be teaching Aikido starting next week, is it? On Tuesday. On Tuesday
This
night.
coming Tuesday night.
I do
tomorrow.
Saturdays with Lauren, but on Tuesday nights, I'll be teaching that class, Aikido Mountain View.
6:30 to 8
Yeah.
people.
Okay.
Thank you, Sensei.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sensei.
Go ye and be dark.
Thank you, Sensei.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Sensei.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Lauren.
Good night. Thank you all.
Thanks, Sensei. And thank you.